Punk rock originated in England, Australia, and America in the mid-1970s. The Sex Pistols were responsible for the punk rock movement in England. Many other bands were involved, but the Sex Pistols are most notorious because they were the most violent, the most angry, and they probably had the most meaning out of their punk rock. They were against everything that the UK believed in. The Ramones are responsible for the punk movement in the United States. They were generally a lot more classier and cleaner than the Sex Pistols, but they still had the same meaning and the same visions. Punk rock is all about the anger, the rebellion, and the anti-establishment. Punks followed no rules but their own. The singer of the Sex Pistols, Johnny Rotten, was the voice of rebellion, and their album Nevermind the Bollocks was the soundtrack of rebellion. Malcolm McLaren was the Sex Pistols manager. Before the Sex Pistols, he flew out to New York City one night and he was walking and he saw the CBGB, which is the punk club in New York. He saw the Ramones playing and he was like really influenced, so he came back and he had his a little clothing store and he renamed it and made it a studio, and that's when he made the Sex Pistols, and that's when the punk rock movement started in the UK. Another UK band that's notorious for their punk rock is The Clash. They came after the Sex Pistols, but they're equally influential. The Ramones had a lot more of a melodical sound than the Sex Pistols or any other punk bands at the time, so they really stood out in that category. They influenced a lot of the modern day punk rock artists like Green Day and Blink-182. Blink-182 did something completely different for punk rock. They had two vocalists, and they had a fantastic drummer. Did crazy things. Usually the punk rock drummers just were pretty simple. They were a lot more pop than others. They generally talked about the same thing, girls, all that, but you know, they made a huge mark on punk rock and music in general. Green Day brought punk into the mainstream. Nowadays, Green Day are more considered pop punk, but at first, you know, they were really punk. They played in the underground until they got recognized and felt like they needed to move on. They went through a lot of hard times trying to figure out what they were, and they got to a point where, like, you know, people don't think we're punk, that's fine. You know, I just want to play music, we just want to have fun, we just want to change the world. And that's what punk's all about, changing the world.